The night shift visitor. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine locking your door, turning off the lights, thinking you're finally alone. That's how tonight's story begins. Ordinary, quiet, safe. But what you're about to hear didn't stay that way. It's drawn from real reports, coworker accounts, security footage, pieces that never quite fit together. This isn't about monsters or screams. It's about the moment you realize the building isn't as empty as it should be. If that thought already makes your skin crawl a little, stay with me, because once it starts, it doesn't stop halfway. In the late summer of 2025, a 28-year-old security guard took the overnight shift at a small office building in an industrial park, 3 stories. Mostly empty after 6 p.m., just a few late workers and cleaning crews. The job was easy. Patrol the halls, check doors, monitor cameras from the lobby desk. He'd been there 6 months, knew every creak of the old HVAC, every flicker of the fluorescent lights. He always locked the main entrance at 7 p.m. sharp, set the alarm, and settled in with coffee and his phone. That night started normal. He did his first round at 8 p.m. All doors secure. Lights off on upper floors, no issues. Back at the desk, he scrolled videos until around 11:30 p.m. when he heard it, a soft click from the side stairwell door. Not loud, but distinct, like a latch releasing. He checked the cameras. Nothing. Hallway empty, stairwell door closed. He chalked it up to the building settling or wind, pushing through a vent. He made another round anyway. Up on the second floor, everything looked fine. Except one office door, the one that was always locked because it belonged to an unused conference room, was now slightly ajar. He pushed it open with his flashlight. Inside, chairs neat, table clean, no signs of entry. But on the table, a single coffee cup, not his, not from the break room. Still warm steam rising faintly. He froze. No one else was in the building. He radioed the central monitoring station. No alerts, no motion sensors tripped. He locked the door again, added a chair under the knob for good measure, and returned to the lobby. That's when the elevator dinged. The car was coming down from the 3rd floor, uncalled. Doors opened, empty. He stepped in, hit the button for 3, rode up. Hallway dark, quiet. He swept his light. Nothing. But as the doors closed behind him, he heard footsteps, soft, deliberate, echoing from the floor below, heading toward the lobby. He took the stairs down fast. Lobby empty, desk chair still pushed in, his coffee untouched. But on his monitor, one camera feed glitched for a split second. The stairwell door swinging open and closed on its own. No figure visible. He rewound the footage. Same glitch, no intruder caught. Heart pounding, he called the police non-emergency line. They arrived 20 minutes later, searched the building top to bottom. No one, no forced entry, no signs of tampering. Old wiring, maybe, one officer said, or a draft. They left. He stayed the rest of the shift, lights on full. Bat from the utility closet beside him. Around 3:45 a.m., the power flickered brief, but enough to reset the cameras. When they came back online, every feed showed the same thing. His lobby desk. Empty. But he was sitting right there. The timestamp matched the flicker. For those few seconds, it was as if he'd vanished from his own post. The next shift, he requested daytime hours. The company denied it, short-staffed. He quit 2 weeks later. The building hired a new guard. That one lasted a month before reporting someone watching from the stairwell on night runs. Security footage from his time showed occasional glitches, brief blackouts where shadows seemed to move just out of frame. Officially, no break-in ever occurred. No theft, no damage, no unauthorized access logged. But former employees still talk about the night shift visitor, how the building feels watched after hours, how doors sometimes unlock themselves. and how the elevator will occasionally go to floors no one called. Some say it's just faulty systems. Others wonder if someone or something found a way in long ago, that never left. We may never know who is moving through those halls that night. Did they slip in during the day and hide until dark? Were they already there, using the empty spaces like their own? Or did the building itself start opening doors for company? Quiet, patient company? The details don't add up. And every time you hear unexplained click in your own workplace after hours, you'll wonder if you're truly alone. If this story gripped you, drop your theories in the comments below. What do you think happened? Would you have stayed the shift? The best ones I'll shout out in the next video. If you're new here, hit subscribe for more real stories that linger after dark. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, because sometimes the emptiest buildings aren't empty at all. Thanks for listening. Sleep tight, or don't. The Basement Guest. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine locking your door, turning off the lights, thinking you're finally alone. That's how tonight's story begins. Ordinary, quiet, safe. But what you're about to hear didn't stay that way. It's drawn from real reports, police statements, neighbor whispers, fragments that never quite line up. This isn't about monsters or screams. It's about the slow, creeping certainty that someone has been in your home longer than you realized, and they're not in a hurry to leave. If that thought already makes your skin crawl a little, stay with me, because once it starts, it doesn't stop halfway. In the fall of 2025, a 35-year-old woman, let's call her Emily, lived alone in a modest, two-story house on a tree-lined street in a Midwestern suburb. The house was hers after her parents passed. She'd grown up there, knew every squeak in the hardwood floors, every draft from the old basement windows. She worked remote, kept odd hours, and rarely had visitors. She always double-checked the locks at night. Front door deadbolt, back door chain, basement access padlocked from the inside. Routine felt safe. It started small, almost dismissible. One morning, she found the basement light on when she knew she'd turned it off the night before. The bulb was dim, flickering like it had been running for hours. She flipped the switch, shrugged, maybe a power surge, and went about her day. But the air smelled faintly different down there. Not musty basement damp, but something warmer, almost like body heat mixed with cheap cologne. She told herself it was imagination. A few nights later, around 2 a.m., she woke to a soft thud from below, like something heavy shifting on concrete. She lay still, ears straining. Silence. Then another. A slow scrape, metal on metal, faint but rhythmic. She grabbed her phone, flashlight on low, crept to the basement door. The padlock was still in place, chain intact. She pressed her ear to the wood. Nothing. She waited 10 minutes, heart thudding so loud she worried it would give her away. Eventually, she went back to bed, door cracked, light on in the hallway. The next morning, she went down to check. The basement looked unchanged. Boxes stacked, old furniture covered in sheets, washer-dryer silent. But one sheet, the one over her childhood rocking chair, was pulled aside just enough to expose the seat. A faint depression in the cushion, like someone had sat there recently. No dust disturbed around it, no footprints on the concrete floor. She took photos, heart racing, then replaced the sheet and relocked the door. That evening, she installed a cheap motion-activated camera in the basement corner, pointed at the stairs and the old chair. She tested it. It pinged her phone when she walked past. Satisfied, she went upstairs, locked everything, and tried to relax with a book. At 1:23 a.m., her phone buzzed. Motion detected. She opened the app. The feed showed the basement in night vision green. Nothing at first. Then, slowly, the rocking chair began to move. A gentle rock, back and forth, barely perceptible. No wind, no draft. The motion stopped after 30 seconds. The camera stayed on. No further alerts. She rewound the clip frame by frame. Between rocks, a shadow, tall, indistinct, flickered across the wall behind the chair, gone in the next frame. No figure entered or exited the shot. She didn't sleep. At dawn, she called the police. They searched the basement, attic, closets, crawl spaces, no one. No signs of forced entry on windows or doors. The padlock untouched. They suggested a loose floorboard or settling foundation for the thuds, maybe a rodent for the smells. The camera? Glitch or reflection, one said. They left without much conviction. Emily stayed with a friend for 3 days. When she returned, the house felt colder, the air thicker. She avoided the basement. But that night, around 3 a.m., the thuds returned, heavier, closer to the stairs. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate, climbing the wooden steps from below, one creak at a time. She barricaded her bedroom door with a dresser, phone in hand, 911 dialed, but not called. The footsteps reached the top, paused, then retreated, back down, fading into silence. In the morning, she found the basement door ajar, padlock open, chain dangling. Inside, the rocking chair facing the stairs now, not the wall. On the seat, a single folded note in unfamiliar handwriting. Thanks for the quiet. I like it here. Won't make noise next time. She moved out within the week. The house sold quickly to a young couple. They lasted 4 months before listing it again. Said the basement light kept turning on at night, and sometimes they heard rocking from below when no one was down there. Officially, no intruder was ever found. No fingerprints, no DNA on the note, no entry point identified. But the realtor still warns new buyers. The basement feels lived in, even when empty. And if you stand at the top of those stairs late at night, you might hear the faintest rock, back and forth, like someone waiting patiently for the house to go quiet again. We may never know who or claimed that basement as their own. Did they slip in years ago through an old coal chute, hiding in the shadows until the house felt safe? Were they there before Emily inherited it, patient and silent? Or did something older than the locks decide the space was too empty and started filling it, one careful step at a time? The details don't add up, and the next time you hear a faint thud from below your own home, you'll wonder how long it's been waiting for you to notice. If this story gripped you, drop your theories in the comments below. What do you think happened? Would you have gone back down those stairs? The best ones I'll shout out in the next video. If you're new here, hit subscribe for more real stories that linger after dark. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, because sometimes the safest rooms in your house are the ones you never check. Thanks for listening. Sleep tight, or don't. The texts she didn't send. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine locking your door, turning off the lights, sliding into bed, thinking the day is finally over and you're completely alone. That's how tonight's story begins. Ordinary, quiet, safe. But what you're about to hear didn't stay that way. It's drawn from real phone records, police reports, deleted message logs, pieces that still don't line up. This isn't about monsters or screams. It's about the moment your own phone starts typing things you never wrote, things only someone watching you could know. If that thought already makes your skin crawl a little, stay with me, because once it starts, it doesn't stop halfway. In the winter of 2025, a 31-year-old graphic designer named Mia lived alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the 6th floor of a quiet building downtown. She worked from home, kept her curtains drawn at night, and always put her phone on Do Not Disturb after 11 p.m. She knew the routine by heart, the soft click of the deadbolt, the way the refrigerator hummed, the exact creak of the 3rd floorboard in the hallway. Everything felt familiar, predictable, safe. One Thursday night, Around 1:12 a.m., her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She groaned, reached for it, expecting a spam notification. It was a text from her own number. The message read, "You look peaceful when you sleep. The blue light from the router makes your hair glow." Mia sat up fast, heart slamming. She hadn't sent that. She checked the sent folder, empty. The message had arrived from her own contact at 1:12 a.m. exactly. She stared at the words, then slowly turned her head toward the router light glowing softly across the room. Her hair was fanned across the pillow, exactly as the text described. She deleted it, blocked her own number, turned the phone off, and tried to sleep. The next night, 2:47 a.m., the phone buzzed again. This time, it was still off. But the screen lit up anyway. New message from herself. "You always scratch your left ankle when you're anxious. You're doing it right now." She looked down. Her fingers were absent-mindedly scratching the exact spot. She hadn't noticed until the text pointed it out. She threw the phone across the room, watched it land on the carpet, screen still glowing. Another text appeared while it lay there. "Careful. You almost cracked the screen last time, too." She didn't sleep again that night. By the third night, she had bought a new phone, new SIM card, factory reset, everything. She sat on the couch, both phones in front of her. Old one powered off and wrapped in aluminum foil like some paranoid YouTube tutorial. At 3:03 a.m., the old phone, still off, vibrated once. The screen lit up inside the foil. Message from her own number. "New phone looks nice. The case is the same color as your ex's hoodie. You kept it because it still smells like him when you're lonely." No one knew that. Not her friends, not her family, not even her ex. She started crying, quiet, shaking. Another text came immediately. "Don't cry too loud. The neighbors will hear. They already think you talk to yourself at night." She grabbed the old phone, smashed it with a hammer until the screen went black and pieces scattered across the floor. She swept them into a bag, tied it tight, and threw it down the garbage chute. The next morning, her new phone buzzed while she was making coffee. One new message from her own number, even though the SIM was brand new and the old phone was destroyed. It read, "The coffee is stronger today. Good choice. You always drink it black when you're scared. I'm still here, closer than the last place. Look up." Mia looked up, slowly, at the small round mirror above the sink. Her reflection stared back, but the reflection's eyes were already looking straight into hers, and the corners of its mouth were turning upward, while her own face stayed frozen in terror. She never sent that last text either. The building super found her 2 days later, sitting on the bathroom floor, staring at the mirror, phone still in her hand. The screen showed one final unsent draft, typed by itself. "Thanks for the quiet nights. I like it here. See you soon." Officially, the police called it a mental health episode. No evidence of anyone else in the apartment. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints that weren't hers. But the new tenant who moved in 3 weeks later lasted exactly 11 days. On the 12th night, she texted her boyfriend at 3:07 a.m. "Babe, my phone just texted me from my own number. It knows what I'm wearing right now." She moved out the next morning. We may never know who or what was typing those messages from inside the apartment. Did something slip in through the Wi-Fi, learning her habits, wearing her digital skin? Was it already there, waiting in the reflection, in the silence between notifications? Patient enough to become her? The details don't add up, and the next time your phone buzzes at 3 a.m., check the sender before you open it. Because sometimes the message isn't from a wrong number. It's from the person who's been standing right behind you the whole time. If this story gripped you, drop your theories in the comments below. What do you think was sending the texts? Would you have smashed the phone or answered it? The best ones I'll shout out in the next video. If you're new here, Hit subscribe for more real stories that linger after dark. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, because sometimes the scariest messages are the ones you send to yourself. Thanks for listening. Sleep tight or don't. The empty apartment. What if you locked your door from the inside and never came out again? What if your phone sat charging on the counter but stopped being used forever? What if the last thing you wrote was a single line and no one ever found you to explain it? Tonight's story is built from real cases like that. Tenant logs, police files, things witnesses still can't explain. No blood, no break-in, just absence. The kind that creeps under your skin and stays there. Ready to find out how deep the quiet can go? Then don't move. In the winter of 2024, a 29-year-old woman signed a lease on a one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city building, 3rd floor, corner unit, recently renovated. The rent was reasonable, the neighbors kept to themselves, and she needed a place to reset after a tough year. She moved in quietly over a weekend, posted a single photo online of her unpacked boxes with the caption, "New chapter starts now." Friends texted her congratulations. She replied with thumbs-up emojis. Everything seemed ordinary. She was last seen by the building manager on a Tuesday evening. He held the elevator for her as she carried groceries up. She smiled, said hello, mentioned the heat was finally working right. That was around 7 p.m. Her phone records show she ordered takeout that night. The delivery driver left it at her door because she didn't answer the knock. The bag sat untouched until the next morning. By Thursday, no one had heard from her. Her coworker noticed she missed a shift, unusual since she was reliable. Calls went to voicemail, texts unread. Her social media went silent after that last post. Concerned, her best friend contacted the building manager, who used the master key to check the apartment that afternoon. The door was locked from the inside, chains still on, deadbolt turned, no signs of forced entry or damage. Inside, lights off, but the TV was on mute, paused on a streaming menu. Her phone sat charging on the kitchen counter, battery at 87%. Last activity at 11:42 p.m., the night she moved in fully. Takeout bags still on the floor by the door, uneaten. Bed made, clothes folded in drawers, laptop open but asleep. Nothing looked disturbed. No overturned furniture, no note. On the small kitchen table, her journal, open to a fresh page with one line written in calm handwriting. Heard footsteps in the hallway again. Not mine. Doors locked. Staying quiet tonight. Maintenance logs showed no complaints from her unit about noise or intruders. Neighbors on both sides reported hearing nothing unusual that week. No arguments, no doors slamming, no raised voices. One said the hallway lights flickered briefly around midnight Wednesday, but that happened sometimes in the old wiring. Another mentioned a faint tapping sound coming from somewhere in the building that night, like fingernails on wood, but it stopped when they got up to listen. The police investigation found no criminal evidence. No missing persons alerts turned up sightings. Security cameras in the lobby and stairwell showed her entering the building that Tuesday evening, but never leaving. The footage cuts cleanly at the 3rd floor landing. She steps out of frame toward her door, and that's it. No one enters or exits her hallway after that. Months passed with the apartment sealed. Then, in spring 2025, the new tenant moving in reported something odd. The bedroom closet door would creak open on its own at night, always stopping just wide enough to let a sliver of hallway light in. Maintenance checked the hinges, nothing loose. The new tenant also found a single key under the baseboard, an old spare. That didn't match any current locks, with a small tag reading for the quiet one. Officially, the case was classified as a voluntary disappearance. Perhaps she left through a window or fire escape, no one noticed, though both were painted shut and undisturbed. But residents still talk about the empty units in that building. places where sounds don't carry right, where footsteps echo from hallways that stay empty, and where the quiet feels deliberate, almost listening. Her family keeps the missing poster up in the lobby every few months, hoping for answers. The last known photo from her phone's camera roll, timestamped 11:38 p.m. that Tuesday, shows the view from her living room window, city lights outside, reflection of the room behind her. In the glass, her silhouette is clear, but she's looking back into the apartment, not out. Her posture doesn't look like someone settling in for the night anymore. It looks like someone who's just noticed the room isn't as empty as it should be. We may never know what really happened behind that locked door that night. Did she walk out and vanish into the city? Did something in the silence decide she belonged there more than she did? Or did the apartment simply keep her? The details don't add up ... And the longer you think about it, the harder it is to ignore the quiet in your own place. If this story gripped you, drop your theories in the comments below. What do you think happened? The best ones I'll shout out in the next video. If you're new here, hit subscribe for more real stories that linger after dark. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, because sometimes the scariest places are the ones we lock ourselves into. Thanks for listening. Sleep tight, or don't.